Hello and welcome to this video. On this video I'm going to be trying to figure out what's making this 6-cylinder engine, Mercedes engine. It's a S320 model. It's missing intermittently. Not sure why. I'm going to take off this ductwork here, pull the top pieces off here so I can get to the spark plugs, and it's a wasted spark system, so it's going to have 3 coils, and so we're going to check it all out. And so as I go through this, I'm going to make short video segments to add to this video to see if we can figure out what's going on. So I'm going to pull this off and then we'll come back and see what we're going to do. Okay, at this point what I've done is taken off the crossover pipe, and I got this loose by going underneath here with a long screwdriver to take the hose clamp loose. And so I'll show you the crossover pipe. You have to take out 2 nuts that go here and here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a PCV valve. I think it's one of these 2. I can't remember. And there's a connector you have to take loose, and then you can take the whole thing out. We took it out and cleaned it all up, so it's ready to go back in now. I've actually greased this with some Shin-Etsu grease, and I put the sensor back in after I cleaned it with some mass airflow sensor cleaner. So this basically just came up and out once I took everything loose. So then I wanted to look and see if the wiring harness had been changed. So I took this cover off. It actually goes this way. And to do that, I put a piece of plastic underneath here and pushed up, and these unclipped. Then the whole thing flipped up like this, and then I was able to pull it loose from its hinges. So that part's ready to go back in. I've cleaned it up, and the good news is all the wiring has been replaced. It's not the old rotted biodegradable wiring that I was worried about it having. So that's good news. So I'll put that back together here. And then I went ahead and pulled all the coil packs out and all the ignition wiring. And I went ahead and pulled all the plugs. Whoever had put the plugs in before didn't put any anti-seize compound, so I had to work them back and forth till I could get them loose because they didn't want to come out. Plugs look like they were in pretty good shape overall, except the rear one had some oil on it, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but we'll just keep on going here. So what I'm going to do is I ordered some new plugs. I'll show you how to install those when I get those in a couple of days, and I'll put this cover back on. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was that I took the electrical connectors for all of the injectors loose. They're under here. So we'll get the camera, see if we can get a good angle under here and show you how to pull those loose. All right, the injectors are right here, and the way that you get these loose is you have to squeeze those 2 metal clips together real tight and then pull the plug off very carefully so it won't get broken. These are 22 years old, so they did not want to come loose. Some of them popped right off, but a few of them I had to struggle with, and it took me about 45 minutes to get them loose. When you put them back on, I went ahead and cleaned them out with some Deoxit ID contact cleaner. So when you put them back on, I actually had to take a pair of needle nose pliers and push down. I wedged the pliers in here and pushed down so I could get enough force to push them back down. So I got all that done. All of them have been removed and Deoxit ID'd. So hopefully electrical connection will be good on those now. And that's pretty much it. I'm just ready for the spark plugs. I'll put them in and we'll see if this thing still misses. Okay, I've gotten a set of 6 of these Bosch spark plugs. These are F8's DC4s. That's what actually came out. The original manual calls for a different spark plug. It gives you 3 different kinds: Champion, Beru, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, and Bosch. But I don't think any of those original ones are made anymore. So the gap is supposed to be 0.032 inches or 0.8 millimeters. I used my gap gauge and checked them. They all came from the factory properly set. So what I want to do is I want to put some anti-seize lubricant on them. So I'm going to put that on the threads, and then I'm going to carefully insert it. It gets torqued to 28 Newton meters, but since I'm lubricating them, I'm going to do them by hand because 28 would be too much if you lubricate the threads. So what I'm going to do is coat up these threads, and I'm going to go ahead and install all 6 of these plugs, and I'm going to hand tighten them, and then we'll come back and see what's next. Okay, so now I'm ready to install the coil packs. I've put the plugs in, hand tightened them. Again, I didn't torque them because I lubricated them, and that's an easy way to strip them out. What I want to do now is take some of this Mission Automotive silicone paste. Mercedes has their own product, which I'm sure it's probably same type of stuff. And I want to put a little bit on the end of the coil pack. And again, Mercedes has this as well, and that's to lubricate it, so go over the spark plug okay. Now the rearmost one, if I put it in, it's going to be facing the other way here, backwards. And so you just push it down, and when the lid's put on, it's going to hold it in place. So I'm going to get all the coil packs put in, then I'm going to come back and we're going to install the wiring. So I have the coil packs set down into place. There's like a little spring, it's a ground. And then if you put a little bit of silicone lubricant on here, these should snap into place like that. So there's 1, 2, and the back one goes in from behind. 3, and these are a wasted spark system, so that means it's actually sparking 2 plugs at the same time, but only one of them is igniting the fuel. So on these parts here, I'm going to put some silicone grease on these as well and insert these, and I'll put some silicone grease here just a little bit so it goes in easy. I'll get this wiring harness installed, and we'll come back and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so I have everything laid back in the same way I took it out. When I took it out, I put it in order on the bench. So that should all be perfect. And when you put it back in and you put the bolts through, it's going to hold these coil packs down. So I'm going to very carefully install this cover, and I'm going to snug up the bolts. And then I'm going to go ahead and install everything else. And then we'll come back and see if it starts up. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I've put it all back together, and now comes the big test. I'm getting ready to start it up right now. And my check engine light is off, and it's running smooth as butter. So hopefully that's fixed my missing problem. So thanks for watching this video. Till next time, see ya.